Hi, Tammy.
Muted as always.
That's okay. My computer just completely stopped working, as in like won't even let me in. It says my passcode is wrong. So
Uh-oh.
I'm currently on. And remind me, how do you want me to introduce you? By what name?
Um, you can just say Tammy. I can change this up here
Okay.
right quick.
So weird. That's what it is. Okay. Um, I always get
Oh,
nervous about that.
just heard something strange on my end. Okay, and I'll add my IDC to that so people know. Okay, who I'm with. And I apologize for this lighting. I'm in a hotel at a conference and the room has terrible lighting, so I apologize.
Oh, don't you hate that with hotels? It's almost worth it to pay more just to get good lighting. No, just kidding. I'm so cheap. I would never do that. Um, but I don't want really, really depressing rooms either. I'm like, as an adult, I'm somewhere in between the
Yeah,
cheapest of the cheap and then
yeah.
like mid-level.
I need to.
Which conference is it?
We are hosting the Kentucky Case Annual Summer
Oh,
Institute
good.
for Special Ed Administrators. I'm the
Yep,
conference coordinator for that. So, yeah.
that's awesome. What's the theme?
We had a legal expert today with the focus on the most last year's recent court cases on discipline of students with disabilities.
Okay,
Yeah, so
interesting.
we usually do a full day of legal things in the summer,
Yeah. Yep.
and we do a half day. We did a half day yesterday for a kickoff for brand new directors. Um, Try not to blow their minds and have them run out the door.
I know, right? You need the
Yeah.
perfect recipe.
But it was wonderful.
Oh, I'm so glad. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot with administrators of special education right now going on beyond discipline, but I know that's always the first thing in
Yeah.
people's minds,
Yeah.
right?
We also had Myrna Mandowich. That's what is her title with National Case? She's our legislative lead person
Yeah,
with
yeah,
National
yeah.
Case. She keeps everybody informed on what's going on the Hill. And so we zoomed her in today for a brief thing, and then we're hearing someone from our state level legislature this afternoon. So
Yeah. Yeah, we do call them lobbyists in DC.
yeah, there you go. There you go. I don't like to
They
use that word, but
they prefer government affairs.
yeah, there you go.
Uh, yeah, no, but they're very necessary, right?
Yeah.
Um, oh, hi guys. Sorry, I
Hello.
am on by phone because my computer decided it wasn't going to recognize me the user anymore, so I had to restart it. But I'm glad you guys are on. Lisa, meet Tammy from IDC. Lisa is from CITL, Center for, I know it's
Innovation
digital.
in digital literacy, something, there's a second D in there, but yes,
I
it's her.
love it that you don't know it either.
Well,
That makes
I've
me so
only
much
been on CITL since this fall, but I should be able to tell you. Yes, it is
yeah.
the Center for Innovative Design and Digital Learning. There we go. I just
Okay.
needed the second D. If you hadn't asked, I'd have known, Jennifer. Nice to meet you, Tammy.
Nice to meet you.
I didn't know I was starting you off with a tough question by asking the name of your center. Jeff, welcome to your second SIG Network event. Jeff has been on the job at Arkansas with the SPDIG for a total of 4 days now. Four. Okay, so we when we met yesterday it was 3 days. So now I'm going to start asking you the hard questions. I've had an extra 24 hours. I think it's fair. So I was having technical difficulties as I was saying. So I can't currently share my screen anyways, and you guys are ready to share your screens. And so I think that's gonna work. I'm gonna introduce everyone. And sorry, because John's out, he doesn't have a waiting room, so everyone's just hearing this along, but we're all one big family, right, Holly? So um let's see. And since I don't yet have my agenda up, remind me, how is everyone going to introduce themselves today? Laura, let's start with you. Laura, how are you introducing yourself?
You mentioned something about an interesting hobby. And so I enjoy weaving, which is kind of an unusual hobby. But
Yes.
I have a loom at home. And so I have a weaving project on it right now
Okay.
that I enjoy. So,
Okay, great. So we'll
yep.
do either an interesting hobby or something
Okay.
that most people don't know about you
Okay.
for our speakers. Does that work for everybody?
Sounds
Okay,
good.
great, great. I have a hard time facilitating and pulling everything up, so I will eventually have the agenda back up. Um, and so do you all have your agendas in front of you so you know the timing, that kind of thing? Speakers, Laura, Lisa, Tammy, we're good? Okay, great. Hi, Becky. Good to have you on. It's good to see
Hi.
everyone. Hi, I don't know if you missed this part, but my computer decided it wasn't going to work. So I had to come in on Zoom on phone. So in the background, after I kick things off, I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off and actually facilitate. I can't hold my phone and do that at the same time. Turns
Okay.
out.
Well,
Um,
it's nice to see you now.
thank you so much. All right, so we're almost right at time. We have our speakers, which is great. Tammy's joining us from the CASE conference in which state again?
Kentucky.
Kentucky. Okay, great. The CASE conference in Kentucky. And um, Lisa, where are you joining us from?
University of Kansas in Lawrence.
So you're home. Good to
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
And then Laura, how was your trip? Oh, sorry, I caught you on the off time. Yeah. Okay, go. Another pair of headphones. And I think that's it for the people who have a speaking role. Can you hear me okay, Laura?
Yes. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. I was just asking how your trip was.
Sorry. It was really good. Thank you. I
Okay.
was helping Jeff. He is trying to get on. So that's why I
Jeff
popped off. But
Adams or
no,
Jeff Graham?
Adams, yes.
Okay, got
Yep.
it. We have two in Arkansas. Yeah.
Yes. And so, but no, it was great. We went to Belgium and went up to Amsterdam for a little bit, and then popped over to see the windmills and Brugge and got lots of delicious bagels and kubadons and
Oh,
had a really nice time. So thank you.
good, good,
Yep.
good. And it was prior to Belgium kicking our butt in the World Cup.
It was. In fact, they were passing out little soccer balls, of chocolate all in the airports because they were so excited, and it was weeks before.
And yet they were right. They knew all
Yes.
along. No, they're a good team. All right. Well, I am happy to see everyone. For those of you who haven't heard me explain it 3 times already, my computer kicked me out. I got to get back in, so I'm on by phone at this moment. I'll go ahead and introduce the topics for today by memory. I don't have my agenda up yet, but I don't think it's too hard to remember because we've been planning this for a while. We're very excited about it. I'm going to say a few things about the OSEP conference and also about the SPDIG National Meeting, and then I'm going to hand things over to our speakers. So this topic today, the topics today are connected. One is when we think about what we've been focused on since the last OSEP conference and SPDIG National Meeting, it's been dissemination. All right. So we've been thinking about as SPDIGs, you want to reach, and dissemination is an internal and external, but folks made a plan using the dissemination workbook and determined what their goals were for dissemination, who their audiences were, their strategies that they were going to use, their platforms they were going to use, the calendar of when different communications would go out, who was in charge, that kind of thing. So Dr. Lisa Deeker had talked to us before about communications, dissemination. She's talked about AI in various groups, some SPDIG, some others. And she has some great tools for us to use for communications, for dissemination, and specifically to help you share data, to visualize your data. So one of the things we've asked is that you bring a piece of data that you had that you'd like to communicate, that you'd like to learn more about how to communicate in a way that really grabs people and makes them more interested in your work. So she's going to get into that today. And then Arkansas is going to talk about Laura Goodrich, who I was just speaking with from Arkansas, her district went with IDC, had a workshop where they dove into how to visualize data. And so when you think about your SPDIG work, many of you, if you're not in the early childhood world, you're working with districts, you want them to be able to do these things, right? So this is going to give you some ideas of how you might help districts use their data and think about it in the same way that you are, that it's not just dry numbers that you want to deliver. Even if they're exciting to you, they might be dry to others, but how can you make them real for people? So that is what's on tap today. Just to make sure we have time for it, I did want to mention we've sent out the OSEP conference, what we call the SPDIG at the OSEP conference. If you haven't received that, please email me at jennifer.coffee@ed.gov. I want to make sure you have it because it gives you a sense of when we have little breakout meetings for the SPDIGs for the conference. So we have some extra rooms that we're using so that SPDIGs can meet together on specific topics like managing their grant or all the evaluators getting together, working towards sustainability. So we have some different topics like that. We have the SPDIG program area meeting, which is going to be something we're calling the design lab. And so you'll be given an implementation scenario for a SPDIG that has, obviously they have a challenge that you want to solve. And you're going to be discussing as a small group how you could approach that problem, what your first step would be when it comes to the right implementation step. And then we actually have answers for you to choose from. And then you're going to find out the research behind the quote unquote right answer. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. The first night of the OSAP conference, we are going back to the bowling alley. Becky McIver is the reigning champ. She's only the reigning champ in Arkansas, but she might be nationally after the SIG Network conference, after the OSAP conference. So you can buy your own pizza and drinks, get a lane, or just chat with people. You don't have to bowl. I'm a terrible bowler, so if you want to feel good, come to my lane. But I do enjoy a good beer after a long day, and they have that too. So we are looking forward to seeing you then if you're able to come. If not, there's the SPDIG National Meeting in October, which we will hold at the same location as last year in DuPont Circle. Please start looking for your hotel room in DuPont Circle. We're not going to have a room block this year. It was just too uncertain for SIG Network to put down money for a big block of rooms and not be certain that they would all be used financially. That is too much of a stressor. But I will provide you a letter stating that you're at a federal conference so that you could get a federal rate, we hope. And just email me and let me know the names of the folks who will be there and which nights you need it for, and I will create the letter. So, with that, we are going to have each of our speakers, before they start speaking, introduce themselves by either sharing a hobby they love or a secret skill that most people don't know that they have that can be really useful. So, either a hobby they love or a secret skill. I will start it off because you're always supposed to model these things, right? My secret skill is I can't have gluten or dairy at this point. I have a little bit of gluten because I have beer sometimes, but I really can't have dairy, and I try to keep the gluten low. So I can take any recipe, like anything that's served at a restaurant that's not like that, and I can make it at home. I can make it gluten and dairy free. It is always possible. So if anyone needs recipes, let me know and I'll send them your way. So with that, I'm going to turn off my camera so I can actually get things going on my own computer. And I'm going to turn it over to Lisa Deeker.
Hello, everyone. I know you all had to put up with me once before, so thank you for the privilege to do this again. Last time I talked about some of our projects. This time I'm actually going to talk about your projects and wanting you to think about what it is you're going to do. And I don't know, I have weird skills, I think in really innovative ways, but I think the one that you might not know about me is I'm an Orange Theory freak. I'm at 1,500 classes and go about 4 to 6 days a week. So you might not know that about me, and there's an interesting fact. So with that, Jennifer, did you want me to let Tammy introduce herself now too?
No, go ahead and do yours,
Okay.
and then they'll introduce themselves before they speak
Okay,
so that
sounds
it's
good.
more fresh in people's minds.
Okay, got it. Okay,
Thanks for thinking of
I
it.
didn't want to be disrespectful of whatever I was supposed to do. I was trying to behave myself. It's not my superpower by any means. If you know, my greatest weakness is doing what I'm told to do. So, with that, as she said, I'm Lisa Deeker. I'm at the University of Kansas, and I'm going to talk a little bit about dissemination. And most of the time, people think about dissemination of getting people a newsletter or a website or a link. I'm going to show you some really fun ways. And I want you to also think about dissemination of like assessment and knowledge that you might have. And I'll show you some fun ways to think about that. So one of the things Jennifer asked me to start with, and I'm hoping, are you seeing my big slides? That's my hope. Are you seeing the small slides, the big slides? Yes. Okay. If you don't mind going to the Mentimeter, I have a question up there, and I'll stop sharing and show that to you. And it's a question about what it is that you would like to be able to use your dissemination data for. So we'll start with a Mentimeter poll. And you're going to have a little bit of a chance. I tend to give lots of ideas. So at about 15 minutes, I will pause and give you a chance to try some of them and maybe share out what you have tried so that we make this as interactive as possible. So I'm curious if whatever data you had today, if you will share what you would like to create with your dissemination data today.
Lisa, can you put the Mentimeter in the chat, the link to
Yep,
it?
I sure can. There you go. And then there's also the number if you need it. We'll give it just another minute and we'll see what people plan to try to do with their data today. And hopefully you'll get some ideas you hadn't thought of before. And if you don't have any data, you could just say, not really sure. That's okay. I get it. Oh, great. Infographics are amazing. Heat maps are also good. I'll share a heat map idea too that I don't have down there. I'll add that. Got a great way for new stakeholders that you should be sharing. Okay, great. A dashboard. Great. Social media post. Crosswalk. Okay. And some of these I will tell you just to go with your default AI tool, whatever your district pays for. Google is giving us actually a large amount of sites for the whole state of Kansas and several other states that might be interested. So you might reach out if you don't have a good platform that teachers can access, but usually Copilot, Google, Gemini, Claude seem to be the one, and then Magic School AI seems to be another one, and School AI. Okay, between indicators to build capacity. Great. Give you just another minute, and I'll let that keep running in the background so I can take a look at it as I start to share some ideas with you. Give you time to respond as I share what I'm going to share with you today. All right, so just a quick CITL, as Jennifer was asking me, and I jokingly was like, I can't remember because you asked me, is the Center for Instructional Design and Digital Learning, and we're a free resource to your states. I know I talked about that last time. I just want to remind you, we have things on guidance. We're really kind of diving into the AI world. We have case studies of use. We're working on some new case studies in the AI world. And probably the thing you might enjoy the most is the CITL community in the AI office hours. So if you're wanting to do more with IEPs and progress monitoring, there are short little 20-minute to 15-minute briefs that you can go out and look, and everything is the magic word. All SPIDIGs would like is free, 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 free. So it's citl.org, and just sharing that with you. So here's what I'm hoping to talk about with you today. I'm going to talk a little bit about LLMs, but LLMs are really where I think you want to be going for taking your data to the next level. A little bit about bots. talk a little bit about more personalized web searching, things to adapt and get metadata to help you make more relevant kinds of fun things, and then some emerging AI search trends and things you might want to use. So probably know this, but 75% of the workforce needs AI, and yet 46% are not using it. So we got to get better and get faster in helping. So think about that, but also be careful. There is this trend, we're seeing it across the country, that's called techlash. And it's kind of like the backlash of technology. It's like, oh, now I have too much, so I want us to stop using it completely. We still have cell phones, ban them all from schools. Okay, but that's the only tool the kid has. We have to think about that balance. And so techlash is really happening a lot right now around AI. People either fight it because of the environment, or they fight it because they don't want more screen time. And again, I want you to think about that as you're doing the work, that how do we build AI tools that don't add to the techlash and build in what we're doing? Just to make sure you understand that there's even clashes. So Jeffrey Hinton is the father of AI. Fifi Lee is the godmother of AI. I had the chance to meet them both. And they will even tell you that they don't agree. He's told us that he thinks AI needs to be more motherly. She said, I completely disagree with you. I think we need to be in charge of AI. And that's really where I come from, is that human value, human-centered AI is what we need to do. And so as you think about building like a bot, which I'm going to talk about a little bit today, building a website, which again, I can do in 2 minutes now, which is really kind of frightening. I can do infographics. Think about how you're building it with the center being human-centered. And my favorite prompt, if you take nothing else away today, is use the word humanize. And then my second favorite prompt is ELI, explain it like I'm. So you can say for your data, I would like for you to humanize this data for parents and explain it like I'm 12. And it will instantly, whatever system you're in, it knows that prompt will explain it at a reading level that is better and won't be as scholarly than if you wanted to maybe do it for a university, you wanted to do it for your state board, and again, something to think about. And so as I talk today, here's your challenge in your leadership role of using this for dissemination, is letting go of what you've always done. I'm just going to tell you, a boring newsletter, no offense, but nobody's reading them. TikTok, Twitter, that's where people are at, whether we like it or not. So how do we go there, but go there safely? And how do we let go of that and grab onto some new trends? So my why for AI is I'm a parent. So if you didn't know me, that's an unknown fact, an unknown, a parent of young men with Tourette's, dyslexia, dysgraphia. And I just have to tell you, he got married this past weekend. So that's my favorite thing, is getting to show you the picture of him and his beautiful new wife, who's a nurse. But honestly, if he were born today, I can promise you he would never struggle in school, because there are so many ways to disseminate things to him that will make sense to him in the way he learns. And I think that's what you've got to think about as you make tools. Don't think about the lens the way you learn, but the way the people you're trying to communicate with learn. So there's a lot of different ways we can use AI. There's narrow, there's general. Narrow is when you just put in a prompt. General is where you kind of let it go on its own, which can be a little scary. I would not recommend you disseminate any of your knowledge that isn't supervised. Versus unsupervised. And unsupervised is where things start to spiral, and we'll talk about that. And are you looking for it to be reactive? Like, do you want people to react to your dissemination, predict something, generate it? Do you want to have an agent? And I think agentic AI is literally the next generation of where we're going. So I want to make sure you understand what you're putting in and getting out, and this advanced learning models. So there's this term you've probably heard, large language models. That's where AI started. What I'm going to start showing you today are what's called LLMMs. Okay, I like to call it L squared M squared, which are large language multimodal models that can take your data and make it a website, make it an infographic, make it a podcast, make it a video. Adobe just came out yesterday or this past week with their ability for any PDF you have to turn it instantly into a podcast. So as you think about the concept of universal design and dissemination, I want you to keep thinking about, what does it look like in how you put things out. Can you put it out in 3 different ways? Can you put it out in different languages? All of that's available, but large language models give you the chance to take your data and make it pretty. Now, large language multimodal models allow you to do even more integrative kinds of things than what we've ever been able to do. Free, easy, cheap, and we can talk about the environment at this point. So here's my suggestion. If you're worried about the environment, and we all should be, we have got to get better at prompting. So I want you to think today about crafting. This is my colleague Maggie Mosier, I do a lot with on AI. And if you craft the right prompt, you don't burn up the planet. But if you just write stuff in and you just keep writing it in and saying, I want this, and now I want it to do that, and now I want it to do this, we really are using up our energy. And that is a huge concern we all should have. And so what we really want to think about, so I'm going to give you an example. And whatever you said you want to do with your data, I want you to start thinking about how you're going to craft the prompt to get from whatever source you decide, because we're going to try this twice today. So here's an example. A high school student's feeling overwhelmed by their homework and job, and he's asking AI to be a motivational study coach, to give him 5 practical time management techniques and a simple bulleted list with 1-sentence explanation for each. And please be encouraging and approachable in your tone. Okay. If you don't say that, you're going to get, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and it's going to give you 600 things to do. And then it's going to give you more. So think about crafting what it is you want. And who is it for? It's for parents. I want the role to be to give them information that will be very positive. What's the action? I want you to put it in images that are WGAC 2.0 compliant so that it is accessible. I want it to be a simple infographic, and I want the tone to be one that celebrates what's going on in our state. So do you see where that's very different of a prompt than what we all are maybe doing and get thought? So first thing first, we believe at CITL, tools are second, purpose is first. So I'm going to show you a bunch of tools, but I want you to think about which tool best fits the purpose of what you put in that Mentimeter. Do you want to write a prompt? Do you need to use a human to do this? Like, is it better to do a podcast with a human interjection, or having a human Zoom and then follow it with an infographic, because you don't want people to misinterpret things? Or can AI be standalone? And decide how you're going to make sure it's private and ethic in what you do. So I just got asked, we're doing a book, and they're like, do you really mean never, ever, ever put in personal identifiable information? I said, my rule is never, never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever, unless it's already out there publicly. So think about what data you have. And Jennifer has been great to get me, thank you, whomever from Maryland gave me some data, because I've got your project I'm going to showcase. But think about how you can use any de-identified information and turn it into something very exciting. So what's the source? How do you want it to use its impact? And make sure you're using a tool that has governance and ethics behind it. I know Maggie Mosier, who I shared, is from the Dene tribe, and she actually has trained she uses Gemini, I use Copilot. She's trained Gemini to always be respectful of her culture and to make sure her avatars look a certain way, so that she makes sure that they fit a different, whereas I train mine in a different direction for different projects. So think about that as you're making the data that you're going to do today. So here's some data sites that I feel comfortable in suggesting that are safe to use, and they never flow into non-compliant systems, but some of these cost. And if you're when I'm in my university Copilot, because that's what KU pays for, I don't have to worry about my data going out. I call it not feeding the beast. All right. If you're google.edu and you're in your google.edu, but when you just go out to Google Gemini or to ChatGPT or to Copilot on the web, whatever you put in there will forever be seen and used for the rest of your life. So again, making sure you know that before we start to do that. So one of my favorites, if you haven't tried it, is thinking about making a chatbot. Okay. And people are always like, oh, I don't know. That sounds like it's really scary. It sounds crazy. Well, in a LLMM closed system, and I'm going to show you in a minute, like Google Gemini, if I make a chatbot and say, this is all the chatbot can talk about are these 4 documents, it will never talk about anything but those 4 documents. So I'm not talking about making a chatbot that can be used for everybody and at the whole world, but you might want to think about would a chatbot be something. Again, most chatbots can be created very easily to be accessible and inclusive, and again, they will build on the data you give them if they're in a closed environment. So chatbots for centers for SPDIGs, these would be the ones I would be looking at if you're interested. Conmigo, these slides change by the second. I believe they're going to cancel their bot just because they were struggling with keeping it in its environment. Like it kept going rogue. But for example, if you had a bot built in Magic School AI, it will even report you if you bully it. So you can set up bots that are very, very safe. So for example, we had a bot and Maggie asked it, hey, I need a beat to this music that's faster. It reported us because she used the word beat. So again, depending on where you build your bots, that's how safe they can be. Notebook LM, again, if you're in there. And then she and I both are big fans of BoodleBots. So again, something you might look at. I'm going to show you a couple examples of bots. So here's examples of our bots. I'm going to stop sharing and take you out to our bots. And I just pulled two up to show you so you can think, could I make a bot today? I mean, again, might not be what you got up this morning to do, but it's very possible that you could do that. So here is a couple of different bots. So I actually have a growth mindset bot for my own class where it only looks at my syllabus and it only looks at my course schedule. And my students jokingly know that if they have a question for me in class, don't go ask me, go ask my bot. And I see it just stopped sharing for some reason. Let's try that again. All right, do you see my window again? You still don't see it.
It says has started screen sharing. I think you might just need to wait a minute. I don't know.
I think it's you that is blocking me now, Jennifer, maybe.
Oh, really?
Let's try it and see.
I don't usually block anyone.
I know. Well, I don't think you're
Oh,
doing
there it
it on
is.
purpose.
There it
So there it's up and you can see it now. Sorry, you have to see my whole screen. So this is my growth mindset chatbot. So when a student asks a question, here's what's fascinating. And this is why I think it's great for SPDIGs to consider is then the next semester, I fix my syllabus to make it better. And so now guess what? My chatbot got 3 questions last semester. Started out getting 42. So again, if you have technical assistance papers or things that you're wanting and people ask questions, now you can answer them. This is where the human and the AI go together. This is a Mizzou bot, and I'm just showing you one because Maggie and I have one we share pretty widely with people. This could be used for assessment. So we were doing this with some kids. Welcome to the moon survival debate. Let's discuss what you need to survive on the moon. We set this bot up with very clear parameters of what kids are supposed to know to go to the moon. And it says, what do you think it will take? And say, I think.
And can you make it a little bigger, Lisa? Because I can
can.
see your white document behind it. Okay, there you go.
Better? Yep.
Yeah.
I think I need some water. Okay, so I make a very general statement. You could use this for checking out on people asking questions. And it should now, it may be so big, it may not. It should then ask me a next question. Like, why do you think you need water? What do you want to do with water? And that's an example of a bot. And you can have all kinds of bots. You can share bots, but now Mizzou bots, when I make it, it only uses what's in my world. And then my new favorite bots to use are called gyms. And so I have a gym pulled up here. I can find it. All right. Okay. So I actually ask this gym. This is our movement gym that we've made. So you can make a bot. This bot only focuses on a lesson plan, adding more movement. So when you write a prompt or you put a lesson plan in, it automatically gives you ideas for more movement. So if you had a standard that you wanted teachers to do more with, you could do that. And so I said, I'm doing a PD with 50 high school teachers, focus on Maryland College and Career Ready standards for ELA. And I would like for them, the room holds 50 people, 100 people, I have 50 there. Can you give me some ideas for movement in my professional development? And this gym did exactly that. So you can make your gym very customized to what you might want to do. All right, let me give you a few more tools.
So Lisa, as you're getting your next one up,
Yeah.
so why would you use GEM for that, the purpose you just talked about with the PD professional development, rather than like just use Gemini?
So the reason is because the gym will only do exactly what I made it. So it's a movement gym. So I could say, go to this gym if you need more movement, or if I want you to understand the
Mm.
language arts standards. So the gym is not
Ah,
going out to the whole world. The gym is only doing exactly what I ask.
okay.
So it's like going to the dentist versus going to um, the shoe repairman. Like
Okay.
the gym does what it's told to do, and it does it in an enclosed environment. So you also get to see what people are doing. Whereas if I send you to Gemini, I don't know what you put in there, Jennifer. I don't know what
Mm.
questions you're asking. So the gyms are a part of the Gemini environment, but they're given very specific scopes of what you
Ah,
want them
okay.
to do.
Okay.
Make
Can I
sense?
ask you a question
Yes, of
along
course.
those same lines? So, how long does it take to actually communicate to the algorithm to build it only to filter that particular criteria?
If you've got a good prompt, 2 to 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. So not
Yeah.
long at all.
Yeah, no, I'm
Okay.
not smart. I'm just efficient. So yeah, that's what I would probably say So yeah, no, it's shocking. And like my bot for my class, all I had to do was tell Notebook LM, take my
Mhm.
2 things and only answer questions about this, and I had a bot in 60 seconds.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so
Okay.
once you get good at it, again, and I
Mhm.
always say whatever you're going to use, like Maggie and I laugh because she's like a Google freak and I'm a
Mhm.
Copilot freak. And I'm like, but we both use what's free to us. So I
Yeah.
recommend you get good at what's free in your ecosystem because then it's always safe.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but they all do the same thing. Like the
Yeah,
ELI and all of that will work everywhere.
that's so cool. Okay.
Thank you. I'm glad you think it's cool. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to
Mhm.
my I guess the word most favorite is not really a good word, but I'm going to give you my last few and then I'll give you a chance to play and go out and try something with your own data. So, how many of you have tried Notebook LM? Okay. So if there is nothing else I could recommend in life, I would just become a master at Notebook LM. It's in the Google Suite. So again, if you're a Google school already, you have access to it. But I was able to take my same syllabus and in 30 seconds, it made a video to tell you about my class and it made a podcast and I didn't do anything. I just hit a button. I hit a button and I hit another button and I can take you out and show you that. It gives you multiple things. So I have
Classrooms today look so different than they did
I
even
didn't
a
do
decade
anything.
ago.
It made all the
They're more
images.
diverse than ever. So that raises a huge question, right? How do we actually get our teachers ready for that?
So that's an example. So I actually took the data that Jennifer gave me from Maryland, and I will see if
And all these links will be available after, right? You're gonna
yes, I'll
send me
send you the
slides. Okay.
slides. I can
Sorry.
follow up with
Yeah.
you if you want to do a one-on-one through Siddle. Just let me know. We're
That
happy
is
to.
so fun.
Yeah.
Yay.
I'd be happy to play with anybody anytime. You just have to let me come back from my vacation. We're going on a vacation to celebrate. We no longer owe our child any money for the rest of his life. So you find that as a good laugh. All right. So let me take you to my Notebook LM. So you saw that. That was a notebook. So this is the Maryland material you gave me on the Resilient Learner. Okay, all I did was upload those 2 documents as a PDF. That's all I did. So you open a Notebook LM and you see create a notebook.
I'm
And
sorry,
we're
I
not,
can't see the screen.
You can't see the screen. It keeps doing
It's
that.
black. Well, maybe I don't know if it's just me though.
No,
right. It
it's
says started screen sharing. I just wonder if it's taking a little time, but I'm not entirely
Oh,
sure.
okay, okay.
let me try it
We'll
again.
see.
Okay, here we go. Let's try it again. There we go. Do you see it now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. So you see where it says create a notebook. So I then have multiple notebooks out here. You can go out and see I've got all kinds of notebooks, untitled. I do this with teachers all the time. But I'll go back to that notebook. And then what I have from those 2 PDFs, I've already got a summary. Somebody said they would like to have a briefing document. Oh, it just made one for me in 3 seconds. All I had to do was say, can you make me a briefing document? And it did. So under this chat, under studio, here's a podcast. Now, here's what I love. I love their podcast, period. their videos, but I love now too that you can interject yourself in the middle of them and say, hey, everybody pay attention here one more time. This is a new way we're rolling out the IEPs in our state, and you better make sure you never put personal identified information in there. So you can do things in there, but I'll show you. This is a video that it made. I didn't do it.
Imagine a fourth grader. Let's call him Leo. He's staring down a worksheet full of complex fractions. You can practically see the frustration building, right? And then down goes the pencil. He's done. Now, here's the million-dollar question. How do you actually measure that student's resilience? Trying to hook into a child's emotional world and quantify.
So I would love to tell you I'm brilliant. I just took those 2 documents and said, will you make me a video from that? All right.
And what did the documents look like?
They
You
were
said
the PDF of all the scores and the PDF of, so there's the score document.
Mhm.
And then the other one was a summary of the project.
Mm.
So nothing big, nothing hard. And I didn't give any, I can make flashcards. I can have a quiz on it. I can have, it actually gives me a data table. So if you'd like data tables, it will do data tables for you. And probably one of my favorites is the graphic. So it actually took that document and turned it into this image in 3 seconds. Now, if you try this today, know that it takes a while in the background to render it. But look at that. I've spent hours and millions of dollars paying people to do this, and I have to go back 15 times. This is a great one to start. I could put this in another system and say, could you make this more WGAC compliant? Could you make this smaller font, bigger font? You can change this once you have the image, but that's the only downside. It will make it once or twice, but it will not take your prompts like the regular one does. Questions, things that I can.
Yeah, and Lisa, just to make sure everyone understood that you were talking about different standards for accessibility.
Yes. WGAC 2.0. Yes.
Thank you.
So when you prompt, if you just tell it to do that, it knows. And it will do it for you. So again, that's what's really nice is putting those standards in place. All right. And then the last thing I wanted to show you is some websites. So I'm going to give you this link. This guide teaches you how to use Claude Code. It's a little bit, so if you're on a 1 to 10, you're a 2 in tech, maybe don't start here. But if you're a 5 or a 6, start here. And I actually asked it to make me a website, and it automatically did this in less than 2 minutes. So again, you can have a custom-made website in no time. I actually then had it do the same for the Resilient Learner. And let's see if I can pull that one up.
And just to be specific, federal government is not allowed to use Claude, but I don't think that we've received any guidance on our grantees so far.
Got it. Well, because this grantee's using it. So anyway, and our university allows it, but we have to be security approved to use it. So this one is that Resilient Math Learner data, and it automatically made it into a website. So now I could link it. I could put reports out here. And again, yes, you'd need a little bit more skill set to do that, but that's another way you can disseminate data. All right, so with that, I'm going to share my last tools, and then I'm going to let you go play for about 5 or 10 minutes.
And while you're doing that, Lisa, I just want to,
And I can say a question. Go ahead.
Thank you. When I was at a State Department of Education, one of our biggest problems at that point, 20 years ago, was the website. Oh my gosh, it was so clunky. You could never add anything to it. And so we'd always go to outside contractors to, like a university or something that we'd partner with to create a site that we could actually put things on. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with state departments of education in terms of what is allowed to link to them. Because this can make everything so easy. And I wonder about any speed bumps that would be created at the state
I think
level.
it'll be similar to the bumps we saw when we started using shared Google Docs, whether it had to be a Google Doc, or I think you're going to see the same thing with website creation. So these are some of my favorites that are the safest to use. I think Cloud Code is the best, but it's not super safe. So you create it, and then I would move it to a platform that is more safe. Magic School AI, School AI. Unfortunately, there's a cost. So again, for you, that's different. When we start talking about teachers, I'm kind of anti-cost sites. So here's what I'm going to do. I haven't shown you some of these yet. So if you're really adventuresome, you can try Napkin AI is one of my personal favorites. Suno AI, I'm going to show you here in a moment. But if you want to try something, I'm going to let you step away for 5 minutes and try something that I've shown you so far. And I'll stay here if you need coaching or questions.
So you're going to give them the directions?
Oh, yeah. So the directions are basically take your data and try something on your own for dissemination. So pick a tool.
Okay. And how many people do we have? We have 45 participants.
Yeah, and I'd like to hear like 1 or 2 people share out before we go. Are you going to put them in breakout rooms to do this, or do you want to keep?
Yeah, I'm going to put them in. I mean, is that what you want me to do, or do you want me
Sure,
to?
that would be fine if they want to do
Okay.
that, or if they can talk with each other for a few minutes and then come back. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So just will you say your directions one more time?
Yes, sorry. So going into your breakout rooms, you don't have to all work together, but you can help each other. I'll stay here in the main room if you need help from me. You can call me into your breakout rooms. And I just want you to go out and pick one of these tools if you haven't tried them, like Napkin AI. I'm going to show you more in a minute. If you've not tried Magic School AI, you can write a good song, a joke, a poem on your data, but take your data and try something that you might use for dissemination.
Mm-hmm. Could you copy the slide and
Yeah.
put it, since I don't have the slide deck, and put it into the chat so they have those
Sure.
names and can grab them right now?
If it will let me put an image in the deck, I will in a heartbeat. Yes. All
I
right.
think it should.
And I'm here if you have questions.
Okay.
Thanks. There we go. It's there.
Perfect. All right, everyone grab that image that that Lisa just added. Just copy it on a Word document is what I usually do. I'm going to give you a minute to do that.
I can also send it to the breakout rooms once you have them there.
Yeah, that's true. All right, I'm going to create the great breakout
And
room.
Dory, I'll make sure you get the links, I promise.
Thank you. Okay, and then let me, if I can make you a co-host so you have that ability.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I think that's what was the problem earlier with sharing.
Mhm. No. Oh, yeah, that was host tools. Nope. Let me go with. Yeah, this is usually John running this side.
Yeah, no, you're
That's
good.
why
You're
it's
good.
it's a
You're good.
little. Polls, quizzes, transcript, record, voice, breakout, docs.
You have to go to participants and
Thank you.
and then make me a co-host. Yeah.
Got it.
And then I should be able to share that. And again, I didn't want to dictate what they use because you have so many states.
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah.
you don't want them to break any rules.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I'm just going to give you the menu.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing I have to say, I might have to say something about it because we actually think we think newsletters are useful still.
Well, and
It
again, I
depends on
think
the
they are.
population.
But again, why just a newsletter? Why not also make it a podcast?
Oh yeah. But I think maybe
I'm-
we just confirm that since I talk about it sometimes.
Yeah.
I want to
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it's like, okay, so
Yeah.
I'm just sending a newsletter versus I could send 4 different modalities that people could
Right.
choose from. Yeah, there's
Right.
nothing wrong with the newsletter.
Okay, so let me just make sure. Penny, Kelly, Chelsea, Laura, does anyone want me to help you get into a breakout? Or are you happy hanging here? I just want to make sure.
Did you need me to go into a breakout,
You do
or
not need to. I just
Okay.
want to give you the
Okay,
opportunity.
thanks. I'm
Mhm.
playing, but on the side.
Good. No, totally
I
fine.
really enjoyed the presentation. Yeah, it's
Oh, thank
awesome.
Isn't it
Thank you.
great?
Yeah.
And I'm
This is
not done yet. I save the best for last.
Oh, beautiful. I can't wait.
Yeah, and Lisa, are you able to stay the whole time? I can't remember.
I can, yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm to be done at 3. I mean, at 4 your time, right?
Yeah. And what time do you want me to close the rooms? Is 3:42 Eastern right now.
Yeah, so we'll say about 48. We'll give him a little bit of time.
Okay, 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna step away for 1 second
Sure.
and I'll be right back.
Yep.
So how was the wedding, Lisa?
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Oh, they look great in that
It was
picture.
perfect. It was, yeah, I don't even have the real photos yet, but I was like, oh, I have to share that. Yeah, it was just
Oh,
Saturday, so it was perfect. So,
I'm
yeah.
so glad.
Yeah.
Did he have it in Kansas?
It was in Boulder, Colorado, in the mountains. It was beautiful.
Nice.
9 drops of rain, so that's supposed to be very lucky.
Is it? Okay. I mean,
Supposedly the
right.
rule is when you have rain, it's good fortune and a strong
Okay.
marriage because when a knot is tied, it
Mm-hmm.
can be untied, but when it's wet, it's almost impossible.
Oh, now I know.
So now you know. I know the weirdest stuff. Of course, my husband's like, of course you're going to ask AI what it is. You know,
I gotta meet your husband one of these days.
he's the most nice, laid back.
I know. Isn't that like that's what you told me? And yeah, it's
Yeah,
picking the right person even better than having raindrops on your
that's
wedding
right.
day.
That's right. Yeah, I
All
feel like,
right, so we'll close the
yeah.
room.
We'll let one person, and that gives me 10 minutes to, unless we might not have time to do the second one, Jennifer, if that's okay. See how many
Um,
questions they have. Like a second
yeah,
time to do their data. I think they can do that on their own.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Oh, okay.
Because I've got some new ones since you last saw me. I want to make sure I share.
Are you just loving working with Siddle?
I love just working in general on AI and
Right.
yes, just everybody. Yeah.
Mm. So I was talking with Unified Champion Schools. Do you know
Oh
their
yeah,
project?
yeah. Because I'm on
Yeah,
that
and
project.
oh yeah, that's right. And they didn't know Siddle.
Oh, wow.
And or what was the other one that
That's
they
a lot.
did?
It's hard to get everybody to know everything. That is
Oh,
really hard.
absolutely,
No,
absolutely.
no,
But I
no.
was
I
so
mean,
excited to be able to share it.
yeah. That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah,
That's why I started with Siddle. I wanted to make sure everybody knew there was so many resources out there. And our office
yeah,
hours are often this kind of discussion, like, could you tell me what I would use? So we
yeah,
have a video and then we just kind of all get to play, which is nice.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so I've closed the rooms. It'll take
Perfect.
just a minute. We have a good group today.
Yeah. Maybe one or two people want to share something they're proud of.
Yeah, yeah. As they're coming back, the rooms are there's still folks in
Yep.
their rooms. I'm sure they'll talk to the very last second. That's how it goes. Hi, Megan. It's good to see you. And it's too bad you won't be at the OSEP conference because I was going to invite you to bowl with us.
I would love to bowl with you, but yes, I'm going to be at AI4.
You're excited
I am
about
excited.
that.
I'm nervous about that. I will just tell you.
So how many people will be in the audience when
I
you
don't
give your
know. The
talk?
room seats 250, but there's
Okay.
15,000 to 17,000 people there. So, and
Okay.
then it's recorded. So, and then I just got invited to do one at 75,000 people online. So, yeah,
Wow.
I know. I'm like,
That's amazing.
it's fun.
Okay. Well, so it looks like maybe is everyone back? Let me
Looks
look.
like it. Yep, they're all
Okay, great. So we'll start back in. Lisa has a question for you.
So,
about
anyone want to share something they did they're proud of? We'd love to hear one or two quick 1 minute or less proud moments. Anybody create something?
I can talk from North Dakota. I started to create, and we're limited to only using ChatGPT at the state level, okay?
Okay.
So you can
Yep.
or not ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot.
Yep.
So I put into Copilot our last APR from the SPDIG, and then I also asked it to look at our FY25 ESSEP data to create a video to explain why an EWIMS is important and evidence-based practices are important to parents. It started creating the video. I'm still waiting for it to actually create the video, but I asked it to create it in a male voice that would be in high school, so about a 16 to 18-year-old level. It did start with giving me a whole bunch of what is the SPDIG, what is the ESSEP, and then it tells me it's going to take about 15 seconds to 45 seconds to formulate that. It'll explain a goal in about a minute. It'll tell you how they check progress in about 2 minutes, but it kept going and giving me things that I could use as a voiceover if I needed to. And I'm eagerly anticipating this video it's going to create for me.
Cool. And just so you know, Copilot is famous for that. It's called its stalling technique. Notebook LM will not do that. And what it does is it keeps asking you questions because it knows it's still not finished yet. So just know you don't always have to answer them. But sometimes that's helpful because it does make it a better video. That was great. Someone else. And what a great crafted prompt. That sounded like the perfect prompt. You gave it the voice, the context. That was wonderful. Anyone else?
I was gonna I'm from South Dakota, but I was gonna say much of our conversation was kind of what North Dakota was alluding to as the state entity. We are really locked down to what we can use. We also can only use Copilot. And personally, Copilot is my least favorite AI tool. I use AI tools in my personal life, and I've used them when I was in the classroom for 10 years. And Copilot is probably the least efficient and creative AI out there. So it's kind of like how can we use these tools, how can we be as creative with the limited resources that we have, or the ones that we're allowed to use. Like I can't even access Gemini. It tells me I don't have access to it.
Yeah. So really quick, I'll answer that for you too. Something to think about is get Copilot to know you better. So my Copilot, look at all the embedded OneDrive apps. like daily task reminder. It actually goes through my email and it reminds me, like, Jennifer Coffey emailed you. That seems important. You should answer that first. And then you can build bots in Copilot in your ecosystem. So there's a lot of the same features. It's just that you have to find them. They don't just, like, Notebook LM is very teacher friendly facing, but Copilot has almost the exact same features, but you have to get each individual app from your OneDrive. So again, just a little tip for you if you're stuck in one. And that's what's funny. They all do the same thing. They just don't all do it as intuitive as others.
It sounds like almost when you said get to know it, it's kind of almost like you're on a blind date.
Yes, it is. And once it does, like mine knows, like, don't ever put a dash in there. Like, it did it today, and it's like, oh, I'm so sorry I put dashes. Like, I hate, because I know that AI creates things with dashes. It knows, like, I don't want this to be, like, when I give feedback to my students, I don't want it to be this, in the first paragraph, you were like, I want it to be friendly, you know? So again,
conversational.
And it knows me now, so I have trained it. Just think about it. It's like training your assistant in your job. And so it really has helped in that regard. All right, let me share the last. I've got about 7 minutes, so I'll show you 7 minutes worth of stuff. Again, you're smart people, so I've given you the whole menu of things you can go play with. And again, I'm sorry you're limited. Some of these you may not be as limited if you talk to your state about things like, I know most of the states have adopted either School AI or Magic School AI, or if not the whole state, the districts, and that might be something to think about. They have some really great tools within those that you could be using as BDIG directors. You don't have to just put those at the teacher level. Like best songs, jokes. I think it writes a better IEP goal than I ever saw in my son's whole career. And, Jennifer and I were talking about, like, newsletters aren't bad. I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong with a newsletter. I think it's just that we should have multimodalities. We should have MMs in everything we do. So there's a newsletter, there's a song, there's a video, there's an infographic, so that people can go with the way they learn. And now we have UDL dissemination, not just UDL of what we want people to do. So that's something to think about. All Google searches now, if you don't know, if you use any Google search or any Copilot search even, there is a button that says AI mode, and it will automatically go into AI mode for you. So again, I find that to be one of my best friends. And that's something you might say to your families or what have you, but do that and check and see what it says about your SPDIG. See what it says about the data that you've shared. After you've shared it, ask it under AI mode. You might be like, oh gosh, that is not what I wanted it to tell people. And so often it can help you understand where you have misconceptions. I just share this one because it's one of my personal favorites for your teachers. And that's Goblin Tools. It's just it's probably the best design for neurodivergent individuals if you haven't seen it. So I just put that one out here. So this is a question we get asked all the time. Is AI safe? Oh, it's safe. No, it's not safe. It's safe. It's no safe. Honestly, I would be so careful where you put anything unless you are absolutely confident. And I would never put any identified data in there. So again, Copilot, you can do a custom GPT AI and pay for it. But if you're not paying for it, you're probably feeding the beast. So keep thinking about that. Free sounds good until it's not. And so what are some real world use cases that I would recommend you think about? Napkin AI. So I actually was writing an OSAP grant, and I said, I need an image. I just took my text in Napkin AI. So it's like, think about writing on a napkin, and it automatically made this image for me. Okay, it took 3 seconds. Now, Napkin AI cost, but you can do 2 images a day for free. I use up 2 every day. I can just tell you. Much better than any prompting I do, because it takes it from my organic text that I've written and it makes an image, and it gives me about 25 choices. And then I can choose the color coding that I want of those choices. So again, it's a really nice free tool. Here's another example from Napkin AI. This was literally made in 3 seconds. I didn't do anything, but I gave it the text of what I was writing in the book, and now this image is automatically available. Make sense? I talked a little bit about Boodlebox. I have a Boodlebox Boodle that I'm using with the school district. That's my co-teaching bot. And it only takes what I have. But now when the teachers ask my bot a question, I know what they don't understand for the next professional development. So again, I know you do a lot of PD. So having a Boodlebox bot, which is in a FERPA COPA compliant world, might be something that, again, if you're kind of strangled by Copilot, you might look into a subscription with permission of Boodlebox. Poe is, if anybody using Poe, I got to show you Poe. Yeah, I've got 3 minutes. Perfect. And then I want to show you the last 2 videos. So Poe is what I call AI on steroids. And it's brilliant, but I was trying to come up with a good analogy for you. So Poe is like, instead of buying your tickets for KU basketball from KU, you go to Ticketmaster. So basically, Poe, it's a pay, allows you to take advantage of all of the AI systems simultaneously. So like if you've never used Nano Banana, oh my gosh, it makes the best images. That's where that ice cream image came from. But again, if you're like, well, I don't know whether I should make my images here or there, you have open source or you are playing at home, Poe is great. And you get 1,000 Poe credits free a day. So again, it might be a place to experiment and play with some design things, but Poe, as you can see, is everything out in one spot at the same time. And I keep Poe on my laptop as a link because it's the place I go to when I'm just not sure. Like I don't know where to go to do this. Poe is great for that. All right, I saved the best for last, the last little fun things. And by the way, that image was made by Poe. I said, make me an ice cream winning the Olympics. And again, that's what I love. Poe does very, very good demographics, images. There's my bots from Boodlebox. And then the last 2, Suno, I can't tell you if it's going to be there. It changes its mind on a daily basis, but it will I did not say anything, but to make me a co-teaching video on using pop music. And this is what's really fun. I didn't do anything. And then I told it to change the music. And so I said, now use 80 genres. So you can change the music throughout, which is kind of fun. And then in the end, I think I used country. 2 minds, 1 plan, coffee in our hands, mapping out the lesson. So again, what a fun thing to do. And then the other one you might look at is HeyGen. And we made this video. I am not proud of it, so I'll just show you. It was our first one, but I wasn't going to burn up the planet for a demo. Because this lady, I'm like, why would she be talking about co-teaching in a living room, in a condo, on a couch, and no diversity? So again, and I prompted,
Co-teaching is
but
more
that's
than
what I
just
got.
sharing a classroom. It's a powerful partnership that transforms the learning experience for every student.
But you can see now my professional development is more engaging, more fun. I have a video and I didn't have to go out to a classroom and shoot it. And it literally, both of those were done in less than 5 minutes. So that was HeyGen and Sono AI. So that's what we've got. And I'm
Lisa, we have more questions and ideas than we have time for. I do recommend, like Lisa said, take advantage of the CITL office hours. Lisa, will you also answer a question, since we want to make sure that Laura and Tammy have time to share what they will about Arkansas and the data visualization and work on data. But could you answer the question about accessibility? I know you spoke of it before, but if you could do that in the chat while we're doing it. And thank you so much for all this. It's fun to see what's possible and overwhelming at the same time, but you make it better than it would be otherwise. How about that?
Thank you.
I
told Jennifer I'm a fire hose, so thank you for being with me. Thanks.
We love that. You know a lot. All right. So I am excited to invite our next 2 folks to take the stage. We have Dr. Laura Godrich. Did I say that, Laura, correctly? Okay, great. It's been, weeks since we last talked. And then Tammy Williams from IDC. So IDC is the IDEA Data Center. They have been doing fantastic work with various states, but what really caught my interest about when the Arkansas SPDIG was talking about it is they did a workshop with districts on the ground in Arkansas about data use and data visualization and some other things that they're going to get into. And it just sounded fabulous, like something you all might be interested in doing something related to that in your states with your districts, but certainly the topic was one that we're interested in of using your data visualization. So Tammy and Laura, please introduce yourselves, sharing either a hobby or a skill you have not everyone knows about, and then
get right into it. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and start. I'm Tammy Williams. I live in far western Kentucky. Yeah, I've been with the IDEA Data Center for 3.5 years, and my primary role is to be the TA lead for everything around building LEA data quality capacity, and that's what we were doing with Arkansas. I'm sitting here thinking about, what am I going to share about myself? I'm going to kind of take a skew of that and say something that about myself that no one would probably ever guess. I was a late bloomer. I didn't even start college till I was 30. And prior to starting, I've been in special ed for 32 years, so you can do the math. So I was trained as a UPS driver in Louisville with 6 men. I was the only woman. I was 25 years old. I scored a perfect score. I was the highest scoring driver on the team. And as soon as they offered me a position, my heart and probably God said, I think you need to go back to college. And so I had the opportunity to become a UPS driver, which at the time I thought made big bucks. I was thinking about money and raising my small children and everything, but best decision ever made. Special ed is my world. So thank
That
you
is
for
an
having us.
awesome unknown fact about you. That is so cool. Breaking stereotypes of the woman driver
Yeah.
that, I get to hear from my husband sometimes. And also how you got on your path in special education. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. How about you, Laura?
Yeah, so I am in Arkansas, the Part B data manager, and I've joined in 24 with Arkansas for this division in SPED, and it's been a wonderful transition. And we've done a lot of partnerships, especially the one that's really exciting today with IDC. But I wanted to share something that's a little unique, maybe. There's not many people out here who weave, but I have a loom at home. I also have a spinning wheel, and I very much enjoy patterns. My background is industrial engineering and computer science. And so I love the logic and the layout. So I have an 8 harness loom at home that has a current table runner project on it.
And if
which
anyone
will
else is
be
an astral engineer, go ahead and just, put something in the chat so you all can connect later.
that would be awesome. And I know that Dr. Adams is with us too. He's going to be sharing his part as well. So
Oh, great,
yep,
great.
yep,
Good,
yep.
good to see you, Jeff.
Good to see you, Jennifer.
Do you want to share your fun fact or your hobby?
Yeah, not nearly as cool as the previous two, I have to say. Saved the worst for last, I guess, here. That being said, I'm the state director in Arkansas, and random fact about me that is most days meaningless knowledge, but sometimes it does help to connect. I have a really broad understanding of mascots in our state, in our schools. And when I hear where someone is from, and it really is only applicable to our state or colleges in the SEC, that's my limit. But I can usually, with about 90% accuracy, get the mascot, even of the most obscure rural location in our state. So, random fact.
That will make people love you. I have a feeling. So I think that's a very strong connector for engagement. All right. Well, whoever is going to share your screen, you should have the ability to do it.
Okay, can you see?
Yeah. Yep, there it is. I can see
Beautiful.
it.
All right, and I'll drive it. I know Tammy's going to start us off here, and I'll just drive.
Okay. So we were fortunate to be asked to join Arkansas's SEA team and do a road trip around Arkansas, the beautiful state of Arkansas. I live in far western Kentucky, so I didn't have that far to drive. But we repeated 5 data retreats, and our focus was taking those LEA teams that attended these retreats. Excuse me, I should have taken a drink of water. On a deep dive below the surface to help build that LEA capacity within those teams to go back and be able to influence the conversations and the decisions, which did include supporting them with understanding the importance of being able to make the connections between their data, carry out those informative conversations, and importantly, present the data in an informative way. I remember when I worked at the LEA, I always stressed that data is so important and it will speak to you if you let it. But what I've learned over the years is it might be speaking a foreign language, and you've got to make sure that it's speaking the language you understand and telling the story that you intended to tell. So there's more than just that it speaks to you. So, all right, we'll move right along. And this is the agenda that was put together by the team that we built. So that we started out with setting the context, why building that capacity at the LEA even matters. We went into Arkansas specific strategies for building that capacity and the approaches. And we looked at specific summits that had happened throughout the state across years and what happened from that. And we looked, Laura and her team gave us a good overview of the outcomes and some of the lessons learned and the impact. So we learn, historically we learn and we repeat the good things. And then we had some good discussion of applying with the knowledge that we provided to those teams to build their capacity, and had some really good discussions. And then we ended the day with our conclusions and allowed them some time to think about next steps when they went back to their LEAs. What would be their next steps to continue that capacity building at that local level. So we started out with why building capacity, even matters. And so we started out with a scenario, and we thought this was very powerful. I think it did resonate when we presented this at II-26, our Interactive Institute that IDC shares, and Arkansas was a main stage presenter. So we had a scenario. So let's think about this in relationship to your states. So we introduced a district. This is just a kind of a make-believe. It's a district that might look a lot like some of those in your state. It's mid-size. It's not your largest district, but it's not your smallest either. And they've just received their annual determination letter. When we at the state level look at the data, we start to see, there's several red flags. Their dropout rates are up on indicator 2. Their performance in reading and math is slipping, indicator 3, slipping across multiple grade levels. And their discipline rates have climbed in their 618 data. And on top of that, there have been problems with timeliness and accuracy in their data submissions. So from that SCA vantage point at the state, this is a district that clearly needs attention. And the question is, will the district see what we see? So we then talked about the state perspective and how that might be different. So if we at the state, if we stay in the state role for a moment, our reaction is probably something like this. Okay, we've got to talk with this district. We see patterns that suggest students with disabilities probably aren't being well served, and accountability is pushing us to respond. So we call the district, we schedule a meeting, and we get ready to talk about their data, their determination, and what needs to happen to move forward. And in our minds, the story that the data is telling is very clear and obvious. We're expecting that local data team is going to nod and say, yes, we know, and here's what we plan to do about it. However, when we sit down with the district, the conversation doesn't go quite the way we imagined. Instead of confirming our concerns, they say, wait a minute, we're not seeing this. And they pull up their own local reports and show, look, we have students, they're still graduating at the same rate. Our internal dashboards are showing fairly stable performance across the indicators. Our discipline referrals don't look like they've increased. So from the point of view, things are challenging, but not alarming to them. So now we have this moment where the state and the district are looking at what they believe is good data, but they're drawing very different conclusions. So this is how we end up with two very different stories built on what in theory is the exact same data. So thinking back to what we've been talking about today, how data is presented and how we collect it and visualize it. So, and what the language that we use, what's the commonality? We're not talking about one side fabricating numbers and the other side just being naive. We're talking about honest professionals, hardworking people who are still not aligned in how they understand the situation. So we got a communication breakdown about the data. And
if you've ever been in a meeting like this, you know how quickly things can shift from a collaborative kind of atmosphere to suddenly there's tension. So the question we wanted to explore with these teams is, how did we get here, and what would it take to prevent getting in this position? So one way to unpack this is to look at what's happening at each level. So what's the difference? So at the state level, we can see patterns, we can see trends, we can see outliers across districts, but we usually don't have the on-the-ground context that explains why those patterns exist. We can, at the SEA level, identify concerns we have, but we can't always pinpoint the root causes. We also sometimes assume that the districts are looking at the data exactly the way we are. At the local level, the reality may be very different. Data might be scattered across departments or in different teams. They might be using different definitions or systems. Staff may not fully understand how their local data connects to federal requirements or the determination process. And when we have gaps, people naturally fall back on assumptions and prior experiences as their evidence. So it's not surprising that the stories just don't match. So I think we're on one slide behind that. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry.
Am I talking too fast?
Nope. Is that one good?
I'm reliving this experience because I have lived this boots on the ground as a local director and a state regional TA center. So this is why that LEA level is so critical. Think about what happens when district team, when they don't share common understandings of key indicators. And IDC is putting a great emphasis and focus in our TA right now on building local team capacity. I just want to throw that in there. But when we don't have that shared common understanding of those key indicators, then different people are using different mental models of what the numbers mean, how it relates to things. If they don't have regular structured processes for reviewing and discussing their data, then issues only surface in crisis moments like the determination conversation that we just discussed, and that actually just rolled out in Kentucky. Everybody just got their determination letters. So I've been working with new directors this week about that. So if they don't have a cross-role team, people coming to the table from special ed, gen ed, administrators, data staff, if they're not all at the table together, no one is really seeing the full, clear picture. And under those conditions, the state and the district are going to continue to live in these two different realities. And when they're technically actually working from the same data, but still living in two different realities. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So that's why we want to stress how important it is that the LEA level capacity is so critical. Think about what happens when a district team doesn't share that common understanding. Different people are, I apologize. I told you to move to the next slide and I didn't. So why does this matter beyond that hypothetical district we were talking about? First of all, high quality data, they're built at the local level on local practices. If LEAs do not have strong processes for doing all that collecting, checking, interpreting, and all that, then their interpretations almost always start locally and sometimes on not good data. So long before that data shows up in our APR or in our public reports, our local staff are sitting back there making meaning of those numbers or sometimes choosing not to. And third, the decisions that most directly impact our students, like scheduling, placements, our supports, our interventions that are being made by districts and schools, think about the quality of that data at that point. If those decisions are not informed by a shared, accurate understanding of the data, then we're missing this huge opportunity to improve outcomes for students with disabilities.
Thank you, Tammy.
So then we move to Arkansas.
Yeah, so we in Arkansas have a couple of key anchor points that we just wanted to discuss and share as Dr. Godrich will then talk about the data retreats. But for each of you who are in a SPDIG working to empower that data as communication, as Tammy was just talking about that, and connect from the classroom all the way up to the legislature. And ultimately, that's important that we do those things. we just wanted to highlight that in Arkansas, with our data, we're purposefully linking to our broad sweeping legislation, which is Arkansas Learns that you see on the screen there. I would encourage you, as you are visualizing your data and are connecting that information from your SPDIGs, that it's actually having those connections to the key anchor points, as Tammy was just describing as well. The other thing that you see on your screen there at the top is Atlas. That's our statewide assessment system. And then you see RISE Arkansas, which is our statewide literacy initiative. The purpose that we have on this slide, though, is to make sure that when you are depicting, discussing, having those conversations around your data, that you are really taking the grassroots level classroom information that is so impactful at the student level and reflecting that throughout your whole system, all the way back up into the accountability pieces, the legislation, and those broad sweeping initiatives. For instance, in this case, RISE Arkansas. And why that matters for us in particular, we've been strategic in Arkansas. If you'll go to the next slide, on linking our SPDIG work along the way to our systemic improvement efforts. And so as you see, I've listed our SIMR, which I know most of you are familiar with on this screen, but all of that data from student information that we get from their assessment, it links to that broader legislation and to our accountability as well as the initiative for RISE. So the last thing I would leave you with, so that we can get to the good stuff with Dr. Godrich here, is the value of hiring the right people, and your team and your states have hired the right people with you, and leaning into TA support, which is what we did with IDC and what we're doing with SIG Network and others. The value of that cannot be overstated. It is just so critical that you do that, and they can help you. And just as Dr. Deeker was showing these ways that we can visualize data in quicker ways, make sure you're anchoring your work in the legislation piece, but showing the absolute value add that's occurring at the level of the student. And make sure you're making those connections. And then we'll show how we've done that in Arkansas as Dr. Godrich talks about our data retreats.
And to kind of lay the framework for this, we wanted to ask one question, and I'm going to put the Slido and the number in the chat as well. But just one word, so just making a little word cloud. What is the biggest challenge that your district, states, or districts in general face when using IDEA Part B data for decision making? We've had a lot of discussions about where it's used and where it's not used and where it should be used. So we'd love your reflections just for a moment here before we jump in to see those challenges you see out there. Mismatch, definitely. Oh, wow. Excellent. We got the flood coming in. So beautiful. Yeah, where the priorities are, the alignments, formative, family, y'all are hitting all of those hot buttons. And there's different pressure points throughout. Exactly, priorities. Thank you. So as we move forward here, I wanted to give you a little framework for what the data summits used to look like. So in spring of 25, that was my first time to come. We had the SIG Dis Pro was on a Thursday, and then the districts who came for SIGDIS Pro Conference could stay overnight and then jump into our data summit. It was an all-day session on Friday. The morning was structured with the previous data manager as a Kahoot. And then the afternoon, I did data dives and we did data visualization for those pieces. The format, we asked at the end a nice survey just to get a feel, and we learned that a different direction was really being requested from our audience members, and which was great because we could see what strengths we had and where we needed to go. They wanted deeper dives into fewer topics. We had a very broad spectrum on that day in 25. We wanted split sessions for deep dives for intro staff and those for higher administration, how to get that data to your admins so they could understand and work with that data directly, how those systems connect. There was a lot of frustration about having so many systems available and not sure where to go. So we learned a lot from those pieces. And so we went ahead and restructured. I talked with IDC starting in the summer, right after we got the survey results and knew everything was kind of going to be a very different approach. And Dr. Adams was very nice in letting us dive into restructuring. So the pre-survey with our spring, this last spring, we learned from our registered attendees that they wanted new reports. They lacked confidence in how to use those published reports. And they wanted guidance on how to take that data and then make it actionable, not only for themselves, but for their administration and for those districts and for those parents, and breaking it to those different levels. They wanted to use it for state board. I've never gotten so many questions about needing data interpreted for a state board presentation as I did last spring, and annual reports. So a lot of this gave us a new direction. We broke our summits into 5, and this was a great discussion with IDC because we wanted to canvass the whole state and we didn't want them all to travel. So you can see on this map, we really followed the highway lines. So it was nice. These were cooperatives that our districts had worked with. And we said bring teams. And that was quite different than before as well. We wanted the EC data providers and your data entry personnel, which was also an audience we had not reached out to before. And those were actually, if I could put a star on here, data entry personnel was fundamental because they're the ones gathering the data, getting that accuracy, and then bringing it forth. We looked at location, we repurposed, and then in that structured activity for that one day, we then focused on accuracy. And we had lots of great discussions about eSchool, which is our state data entry system, and MySped, which is our way to clean the state data once we get it for a month for 2 of our cycles. So Fred, who's not able to be here with us today, but he did a segment on elephant in the room, and it gave us great terminology to use throughout the rest of the day to make sure that we see one lens and there are multiple lenses that need to be looked at and reflected on before you have your final data and where it will go. We also, which I would say was one of the stars, was the regional LAA presenter. So we had an hour for a rock star to come and present, and it was a shining moment. Tammy jumped in with the we do and the you do, and then we had a DataViz take home homework assignment, which we've had great feedback coming back from our districts now that they have their data, what they do with it and how it moves forward. So we did start with norms, and then we also, which was nice to focus, we had pre-survey results for which indicators they were comfortable with and which ones we needed to spend a little more time on. Especially preschool was very unfamiliar, so we focused there, and the state SEP. And Becky McIver, who is also on our call here from Arkansas, gave us some great feedback and guidance so that we could really help share that information to each of our districts. These were just some of the tools that we used, focusing at the highest level first with the feds, and then breaking it down with the IDC indicators, one pager, to our state handbook and data entry. Those rock stars were the key point. They came right before lunch. Timing was perfect. And then they stayed over lunch to continue and talk about how they implement and use the data in their district to make it more relevant for them. I started with the afternoon, right after lunch, to do an I do state model data. Tammy jumped in and did a beautiful mock district data, and then a UDO independent application. And at the end, similar to last time, we had fabulous feedback on data viz. So they each got to take a book home with them. And it covered chat. So we did, that was AI, and we got a little bit, there's a lot of beginners. So we had some beginner AI books, and we had some more advanced masterclass books for them to choose from. And then getting into Stephanie Evergreen and some of our great data viz specialists out there and those resources. So we had a mix at the end, which was really rich. For overall, we had great results from the surveys. They do want a deep dive next year, which we're working with IDC again for breaking out to do live data in their eSchool. So we were using historical data and data they had entered. And so we jumped into live. And I don't know if we have time for another Slido here.
We have 2 minutes, so it depends on how you want to use your 2 minutes.
Okay.
Basically.
Well, we could reflect on this one. How do you feel,
Yes.
Tammy? I know your piece is coming next, but just to say, what is the biggest operational hurdle preventing your district from maximizing that IDEA data?
They can drop the number in the chat and we can kind of see where they fall quickly. That'd be a little bit quicker than doing it in
Sure.
Slido maybe. So
Sure.
Yeah, so everyone, you can choose which 1 through 5 seems to be what you see happening with districts, so the biggest hurdle to using the data.
okay, we see 2 4s.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say at the national level from states, I would say 4. I'd say yes to all of these, and 4 is the one I hear about.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Well, I know that y'all are going to get the slides, but I would say we got fabulous feedback. And we were really excited that our new transition worked so smoothly. We had a long planning time, over 6 months for this. So we did get some good new directions, but it was wonderful that our hard work paid off. And it's Tammy.
All right. So we ended the day again, like talking like Laura said about common challenges and getting feedback from them and giving them some strategies. There are many challenges to overcome, but we need to call them out, own them and create a plan to overcome them. And so then we want to leave you with on the next slide.
Do you want
contact? Well, yes, and we won't do that other Slido, but thinking about what Arkansas has done in your state, did you see anything that resonates and that could work in your state in relationship to building your local level capacity to visualize that? We want to build the capacity so that we are seeing the data clearly the same way, and it's speaking our language to us and giving us clear, correct information to base our decisions on that are directly having impact on our states. I want to close by saying it was a wonderful learning experience working with Arkansas, and IDC is a free TA center that we can support all SEAs. Every state has an SEA, an IDC state liaison that can be contacted, and we are there to support you in planning and helping facilitate and helping prioritize with your data, where your greatest needs are.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think more and more we don't want to add any other data requirements if we don't have to, right? We want to use what's already existing. And we have these IDA data. So if they're not meaningful, then let's work toward making them meaningful. And let's also help folks know how to use those and other forms of data, right? Like just whatever your initiative is, since the SPDIGs get to choose from different evidence-based practices, different work that they want to do, whatever it is, having your participants know how to use their data and why it's important is going to make your life much, much easier. And certainly data visualization, telling the story using data makes it real to people, makes them want to see it themselves, therefore makes them more interested in collecting it, working with you on that. So you can backward chain or backward map all the way to getting at what our challenge is now. So thank you for the presentation in the chat, Dr. Godrich, and it was so nice to get to know you, and nice to get to know you too, Tammy. And
Thank you.
Jeff, thank you for making this happen. I brought this up to Jeff and Becky in Arkansas, and they rolled with it, and so did IDC, etc. And then thank you also to Dr. Lisa Deeker for her presentation today, which was fantastic as always. The CITL office hours, I hope to see some of you there if you're interested in asking questions or playing or getting feedback. I also have issues with Copilot myself, so I should probably show up. I don't know if I'm allowed to, but anyways, this was great. Thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks. And I did put the slides and in the chat if people didn't see them. So
thank you
if you'd
so
like
much.
to point out.
I
Okay.
feel like people wanted them.
Yeah,
I get a sense that there was a real desire to have those. So thank you so
no,
much.
they are. Thanks.
Yes. So
Thanks for the privilege.
Oh, it was wonderful. And congratulations again.
Hey,
Good
it's
news.
great to be free of finances.
And I did have a question for you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Project-wise, do you need to head out right now?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and wait till we're on our own. Or actually,
And you might want to stop recording.
thank you.
I don't know what we're talking about, but I just thought. So I think some of these, this is a bot. I will remove the bot.